So, what should the parties be offering to fix the problem and win over voters? Feargal Sharkey is a well-known campaigner for clean waters. He's now canvassing for Labour in this election. I asked him what should be done.
We need to actually do a complete and utter root and branch review of the whole thing. The simple truth is the water companies have gamed the system. We know this. They've made off at £72 billion worth of our money that they've given to their shareholders. They have a legal obligation, fundamentally, to build and operate and maintain a properly functioning sewage system. I'm vice president of a charity that took the government to the High Court last year, and the court ruled again that sewage should only ever be dumped into the environment in extraordinarily rare, isolated circumstances. So that is my point. We know what the law says, and we just need to get back and focus on that.
Isn't there a more fundamental and bigger problem which somebody needs to start addressing, which is, particularly if we're going to have more rainfall, because basically foul and surface water, all the sewage and the surf and rain ends up in the same place, and that's the way our system is structured, that you either need to separate that or you need to build bigger tanks so that there aren't the overflows when they fill up.
The regulator Ofwat wrote to the water companies 2 years ago to remind them of their legal obligation that they are supposed to build, operate, maintain a properly functioning sewage system. And the law basically says, according to the regulator, that if it's in the sewage system, that's their problem. They're supposed to dispose of it and deal with it properly. We also, as it now turns out, according to the regulator, have provided them for 33 years with all of the funding they ever needed to meet that legal obligation.
So your argument would be that most of us, we don't need to worry about the infrastructure and how it works. We just need to say to the water companies, sort it out, otherwise we will fine you.
Correct, because what actually happened was we've paid the water companies. They've admitted it, by the way. And I'm using the language they use, they certify annually to Ofwat that they've got all of the funding, all of the systems to comply with the law. So we've effectively paid for a service we've never got. But perhaps the question you should be asking is, where's our money gone? What happened to it? And when can we get a refund?
OK, well, in a way, that's where I'm going to, because isn't there a difficulty that arguably, and people say, you would say, look, they haven't properly been policed. Some of them, you'll take a look at Thames Water, it's not in a position to be able to pay fines now. That's going to be part of the problem. And the industry's got themselves into this corner. In my opinion, the regulators have been woefully inadequate in their oversight and their interventions in allowing a situation like Thames Water to exist. I think we can all agree Thames Water is going to need some kind of financial restructuring. That, I think, could trigger at least another 3 or 4 other companies that are not in dissimilar kind of situations as Thames Water. And that's going to open up a whole bigger conversation about the structure, the ownership, the funding and the operation of the industry itself. Which, in a way, I'm trying to get to, because if people want clean water soon, or relatively soon, surely everybody needs to be invested in the structures, in the way it operates, rather than just in clobbering the companies.
Oh, listen, completely. And that's my point, is that we have paid these companies the money. Sewage thing isn't the only issue here. London and the South East is now running out of drinking water. And according to the National Infrastructure Commission, it's going to take £60 billion right now just to secure and ensure London's water supply for years and decades to come.
Does it seem remarkable to you that in the United Kingdom in 2024 we're talking about whether we can have drinking water?
Oh, it is quite extraordinary. London, according to the BBC, London is now number 9 on the list of global cities most likely to run out of drinking water. London is now on a list with Cape Town, Jakarta, Sao Paulo, Mexico City. This is a modern westernised industrial nation, and that, to me, speaks in itself volumes to the inability of the water industry and the regulators to properly plan and strategise, because we know what happened. The water companies gamed the system created by a weak regulator, and they've exploited that to their commercial benefit. Or, as a friend of mine puts it, the only non-leaky pipe a water company ever built was the one between bill payers' bank accounts and their pockets.
Feargal Sharkey.